Okay, we're going to, maybe we've been doing it one at a time. We'll throw it open for everyone. I have a question that really applies to each of these events. Actually, two questions, so we'll go down in order. The first one is the greatest advantage of the venue you're working on. So we'll do Queen Mary, Pioneer Cemetery, Heritage Square, advantage, and then the second round we'll do biggest disadvantage. Biggest advantage of Queen Mary.
So this is easy. We're real. There are only a couple of high-profile haunted attractions in the world that are at purportedly very haunted locations. There's us, and there's Penhurst Asylum in Pennsylvania. And at the end of the day, no matter how large of a budget our friends at Universal have, they can't buy reality. And there's something really terrific about having this great world-class spooky event with terrifically creative minds behind it and an amazing energy from our actors in an environment where you may experience something real. And that's a balance that we strike because we run real paranormal investigations every weekend in Dark Harbor at night in separate areas, and we treat those very seriously. And I think that balance, while at times you can underlie it as a challenge, because of course we have to be respectful of that heritage and to anybody that actually lost their lives, at the end of the day, that's amazing. It's powerful and it speaks to that tension because it's something you think about and it's something that you carry with you beyond what a normal goose scare would be.
And Guillermo, biggest advantage of the cemetery?
I think that the same advantages you get when you read a book and then you watch a movie. The cemetery is so simple, 13 grave markers, open field, that you have to create everything around that. So that the best thing about our event is that the audience designs the frights in their own mind with the pieces available.
And I think in Heritage Square, it's a lot of what Brian and Guillermo said. It's an immersive experience. It's 360 degrees. You're coming into these houses where real people lived and died, 150 years ago, and you can't recreate that somewhere else, like on a set or something. It really brings and heightens every experience that our visitors have.
Okay, back on now. Disadvantages. I'm pretty sure there must have been a time or two when you think, if I could just move this wall out of here, I'd really have the space I need, and that's not going to happen on the Queen Mary, right?
Yeah. With all those advantages Brian was talking about, those disadvantages are we are limited to the space that the Queen Mary and the architecture and structure is giving us. We're lucky that it's giving us a lot to work with. But the other thing that we are very sensitive to is the historical integrity of the ship. So we respect her, we respect where she came from, and we respect all of the natural elements that came with her. So when we're working inside her walls, we are very careful to respect everything that was there, and it's been there for 80 years now. So we try not to damage, or we don't damage anything aboard that ship. We're very, very sensitive to her. And so it's an advantage and a disadvantage, and we're lucky to work on it, but that's probably our biggest
biggest disadvantage of that cemetery?
Yeah, the spirits at the cemetery love us, but we've had some animal attacks, some emergency hospital visits, and some rain outs. So, and we perform rain or shine, but it's been raining and actors have gotten sick and had to be taken. And then, of course, some of our chickens have been attacked by, animals that are out in the open.
Coyotes out there?
Coyotes, raccoons, all sorts of critters.
But yes, raccoons are big.
You probably have the same problem. They're not going to allow you to saw a trap door to do that seance.
No, they're not. And we're a very small museum. We have a very limited staff and budget. Our events happen during the day because we don't have exterior lighting, and so that can make creating a spooky environment when it's bright and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and we're trying to create a seance and we don't have blackout curtains because we can't install new curtains in these vintage houses. So it definitely can create challenges. You can't cut a trap door in the middle of the floor, but we find that the advantages greatly overweigh any sort of disadvantages that are inherent because we have to respect the houses.
Absolutely. Do we have any questions from the audience? Your hand was up first, Lisa.
Yeah, this is directed to the Queen Mary. I heard you say that every week you have actual paranormal investigators there? Did I hear that right?
We do. We partner with an investigator named Matthew Schultz currently, but we have a long history. There's been a variety of other investigators aboard the ship. Prior to Matthew, we had Eric Frost, a noted psychic. Prior to that, the late Peter James. And then a variety of other people have been engaged on different levels across the years, and we're very proud of the efforts they built to build on-roads in the paranormal community. There's a lot of people that are very interested in this area. So throughout the year, we have a year-round program, and every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we allow a 2.5-hour tour. I say that because it often goes to 3 and 4 hours, depending upon the interest of the individuals that are on the experience, to go into areas of the ship that are not generally available to the public, and under our guidance, explore, use hands-on equipment, take IR readings, we do real-time EVP recordings of the environments, and that's an exciting element of the ship.
So you allow amateurs to participate in it?
Anybody that buys a ticket is welcome to
Wow.
participate, and Matthew's really welcoming of other people. We have a lot of people from around the world come in, participate as part of that program. The reason why it always has to be under his tutelage is, as JJ was saying, we have to be very careful. The ship is a delicate environment, it is a historic resource, and it is the last of the great transatlantic liners, so we have to be very careful. There are areas that, due to, frankly, misuse before the current operator took control, have been damaged, and in some cases beyond repair, because we're talking about unique, original surfaces that, regardless of cost, can never be replicated. So we always have to make sure that whatever we're doing and however we're exploring the vessel, it's done in a respectful fashion that doesn't have a negative impact, because at the end of the day, our primary mandate, beyond entertaining our guests, is preserving the asset.
Right, so yeah, the Ghost and Legends tour is year-round, so if you can't wait for Halloween for a few Ghosts and Legends, you can do that. Heritage Square is also open year-round, so we don't do the Halloween stuff, but you do have the costume people telling the history.
And we do actually also offer paranormal investigations at various times throughout the year. I actually think there's some happening this weekend.
Oh, right, you're doing, I think in September they have what they call a mystical evening, it's like a seance.
Well, no, but we actually have a group, I think Haunted Orange County, but they actually bring paranormal investigators and go through the houses into some of the areas that our normal tours don't go, like upstairs, and bring equipment, so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the Heritage Square, just I forgot to mention, you know, the main thing, the Halloween and Morning tours is that last weekend, but you also do a Halloween and Morning movie night. Like
Right, that's like a week before, yeah, we have a vintage boxcar on our property, and we'll show movies throughout the summer, but then we do have a special Halloween screening the week before our Halloween
Right,
tours.
and you used to do the Safe Haven trick-or-treating on Halloween night, but I think that's...
Yeah, we've cut that back. We actually, because our morning tours is 2 days, Saturday and Sunday before Halloween, this Sunday is definitely a family-focused event, and so we do the trick-or-treating as part of that as well now.
And I think Pioneer Cemetery is open year-round on a few... If
Yes,
you
second
visit, you're not going to
Saturday.
see the ghosts.
Second Saturday of every month, you can go between 10 and 1, and the San Fernando Historical Society will be there to give you a daytime tour of the grounds.
So, yeah, if you're interested. I saw some hands up for questions before we kind of wandered off. Oh, over there.
About the Queen Mary, I think on the ghost tour, I can't remember, but there's like this like little area like where there's like cradle babies type place, and that the people would get them to go to sleep if they've gone there.
So there's a variety of experiences that we offer. Again, the paranormal history of the Queen Mary is something that we really embrace, and we do indulge ourselves in year-round. It's a great thing to be able to make Halloween part of your everyday life. But what you're talking about is the Ghost and Legends tour. It's a theatrical special effects-based tour, and it does include unique set pieces that kind of convey, as with Dark Harbor, some of that haunted history. We also offer fact-based haunted history tours, and then, of course, the more engaging paranormal investigations on the weekend. So there's a variety of them, but yes, in fact, that is part of the Ghost and Legends tour.
So what you're doing at Dark Harbor, you're taking those same kind of stories that you hear on Ghost Legends, but like sort of acting them out or elaborating them, or I don't know.
So we give these stories over to JJ, and her fevered imagination really blows them up larger than life. I mean that quite literally. You see the explosions in the background over here.
Yeah, so some of those stories that are told through Ghost and Legends and through some of the fact-based historical tours we take those characters and elements and stories and we bring life to them. So, like I was saying earlier, we have 5 main characters that will probably live on with Dark Harbor for quite some time because they're based off of those stories that you hear about. Like Brian was mentioning the story of the unrecorded story of Jackie who drowned in the pool room. She's our Scary Mary. So we actually create a character based on that. And when you go through Submerged, you will get to see her. You'll see her on the street. We'll have a main stage show every night that tells the story of these characters, so you can see their stories come to life and their deaths and their full story will come to life on stage every night.
Other questions?
Can I just,
something you wanted to say?
yeah, I just wanted to say, because Jackie will kill me if I don't say this. Jackie Walker is the president of the San Fernando Historical Society. So I'm sure you know that the San Fernando Valley is a hotbed of cinema. Everybody knows that. Porn as well, right? Not everybody knows that, but why I bring that up is because in the 1920s, the Actors Union at the time decided to protect actors from abusive producers. And Westerns were very big at that time. So what would happen is that they would take them 30 miles out into the desert and shoot these Westerns, and actors wouldn't get paid extra for room and board. And so they decided to say, if you're taking our actors 27 miles or more away from the center, you have to pay them a per diem. And so what did smart producers do? They took them all the way up to the 26th mile and shot in what is now Silmar, Van Nuys, San Fernando Valley. And so what ended up happening is all these Western sets and studios stayed there. And D.W. Griffith, the director of Birth of a Nation, had a ranch in Silmar. And there's a plaque there on Vaughn and Foothill that you can go and visit. But the other thing why I'm telling you all this long convoluted story is because Bela Lugosi, all you Plan 9 from Outer Space freaks will love this. Bela Lugosi's last film was called Plan 9 from Outer Space. It was directed by Ed Wood, and it was shot, all the outdoor scenes were shot at Pioneer Memorial Cemetery where we produced the show. So part of the performance was a reenactment of the film as you traveled around, the ghosts of Bela Lugosi.
Actually, Bela Lugosi's dentist. You had the guy.
That's right.
See in the film, Lugosi died before they finished,
That's
so
right.
they finished his scenes by some guy walking around like this with a tape over his face. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And so a lot of film history there in that cemetery. Just wanted to say that because sometimes we screen Plan 9 from Outer Space at the cemetery, and be looking out for that. Yeah, right.
I got a question back there.
I was wondering if you could talk about your attendance numbers as far as how many people go through on an average night through the whole season.
For everybody? Or?
For everybody.
Okay. Well, for Heritage, and God, I'm a volunteer, so please take these numbers with a grain of salt. But I think over the weekend, we probably get about 750 to 1,000 people through, which is great for us. And that's over 2 days. We're open from 12 to 4.
So I would put it between 1,000 and 1,500, and the way that we only do 2 days, the way that happens is that every 45 minutes there's a new show. So the audience engages in the tour, and then the next group is sent after them. So the actors are acting for every group that comes in. So 1 to 2 days max.
For us, as you'd imagine, it varies quite a bit. Thursday is obviously not going to be as well attended as a Saturday right before Halloween, but I can say that last year, including comps, we processed over 112,000 guests in our run at Dark Harbor.
So that's pretty much full October.
Yeah.
Weekends throughout that.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
We got a couple back there.
So, in the recent years, there's been an upswing in the popularity of like immersive theater and interactive elements and breaking the traditional format of haunts or what we traditionally think is haunts. And I'm wondering, are there ways that you all give your guests agency in one way or another to their haunts, or you're incorporating that or playing that? Sure.
Thank you for setting up a lovely talking point.
Well, we're constantly working on that and how to increase our interactivity with the guest. And a lot of our mazes, throughout the mazes, are built and designed to incorporate some of that interactivity, some exclusive paths that aren't, so when you go back again a second time, you can go a different path or have a different experience. Last year we introduced Freak Show, which was a new attraction, which was a different way of experiencing a maze, where you get to pick your freak, you get to go in and be alone with your freak. This year we're bringing the Freak Show back, and it will also be in a new interactive way, so we're working with and playing with that attraction to explore opportunities with how guests experience the untypical maze format.
Yeah, it's a kind of upcharge for the freak shows, but it's worth it because it's you and your group, 2 or 3 people, 1 or 2 things in there, and you have time. You're not rushed by a crowd of people pressing behind you to see it.
Yeah, I want to add to that. This year we're also exploring a new opportunity that we will be providing to guests, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So,
It's a secret.
but it's an exclusive encounter that will be new for 2014. That will be again a new way of experiencing a scare in a maze.
Okay, I know we have another question, but I'm sure you want to, because there is real interactivity in that seance. You're going to ask
Absolutely.
Cadet whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, at Heritage Square, we really pride ourselves in making our events truly interactive, particularly in our spiritualism events. When I'm back in the seance, we're seated at a table, guests come up, and we're leading the seance. They are participating in the chants we're doing, and then they say, okay, who wants to speak to the spirits? And I want that audience engagement, and I want that person to say, yeah, I want to talk to the spirits. I want to talk to, and a lot of times they'll come up with a famous person. They're like, I want to talk to Abe Lincoln. Okay, great, we're going to go with Abe Lincoln. We run with that. We bring them in as much as we possibly can. Because I think that's one thing that people really like at our events, and that's one thing that does tend to make us stand out.
Is there another question back there?
Yeah, and so I guess kind of to everybody, but maybe especially applies to Queen Mary. So I think from a design perspective, like everyone can agree, when you go through a haunted house or a maze, you kind of want to be like the only person there. But on the flip side of operations, especially with Queen Mary, when you have 100 and however many thousand people going through the season, what are different ways of kind of balance? You want to be scary and you want people to be kind of alone, but you also have to churn through, thousands of people in that. What are some ways you approach that?
So that's the question, right? And that's the question not just for us, but for every haunter. You look at all of the biggest events in the industry, whether you're talking about Halloween Horror Nights, whether you're talking about Netherworld Haunted House, my home before I came here. Anytime you're looking at one of the large events, there's always that balance. Here at the Queen Mary, we constantly strive to create these new opportunities, and yes, they are upsells, but that's required, right? Like at the end of the day, if we have these exclusive opportunities for everybody, all the guests that we get in an evening, the line will last until 8 o'clock the next night, and that's a challenge. And from both a guest service perspective and a public safety perspective, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to ensure that lines are moving. As much as everybody wants that opportunity to be going through the haunt on their own, there's a balance that you have to strike, where if people stand in line too long, that'll destroy their experience. Likewise, if people stand in a line too long, there's an opportunity for mischief, particularly at Halloween events where people have imbibed a little bit before they've come out. And that's a norm. Also, the longer people stand in line, the more annoyed they tend to get, the more likely you are to get strikes, scare actors. And believe me, if I knew the answer to that, everybody at this show would be here listening to me talk. We constantly struggle with it, as you all.
Anybody else want to add?
I think one of the things we don't have, as Guillermo said, we're more ooh than boo. So for our experiences, it's not quite as necessary to have that one-on-one. But we do think it does work better in smaller groups. We do have problems with sometimes with crowd control in some of our houses. Our houses are fully furnished, they're Victorian, they've got lots of little breakable stuff, so the areas where people can safely move through can be kind of constricted. So there are some times where we will have people lined up because they want to get into this house, they want to get their palm read, which is another individual aspect. So we do have to kind of carefully monitor. We have plenty of volunteers to help move people through the line, as well as engage people if they are stuck in a line. We have actors that will come out and kind of talk to them and engage them so that they don't get frustrated, so they don't get upset, to kind of keep it lively and light.
Anything else? Okay, if you're interested in these kind of shows, these unusual Halloween locations, there's a whole section on my website, HollywoodGothique.com, shows and tours, there's lots of other stuff of this kind. Like I said, you're not going to be able to see the Voices of Pioneer Cemetery this year, but there's similar things going on. There's a ghost tour at Strathern Park in Simi Valley, very similar concept, Ghost of the Dead telling historical stories. There's Beyond the Grave tours at the Homestead Museum in the City of Industry. There's a historical tour of the Municipal Cemetery in Long Beach, I think the Saturday before Halloween, and the Art Deco Society every October. They do one in Hollywood Forever Cemetery, so you'll see the ghosts of famous Hollywood stars brought to life there. And that one. I want to thank the panelists for showing up.